As is usually the case, The Health King is another brilliant episode of the Doris Day Show. However, there is one thing that I thought was quite interesting, and that's the fact that Billy and Toby and Buck are not in it. And on the one hand, I felt that. I felt they weren't in it, but at the same time, the other episodes in this season so far, this is the 6th episode of the 2nd season, they've really only been in it a little bit, so I feel like this is definitely a sign of things to come. Yes, I would have liked them to have been in it, but it was still a solid episode. Doris Martin has to go and speak with Bruce Sanders, who is the titular Health King, because Mr. Nicholson wants to try and persuade him to sign a deal with the magazine to serialize his new book. And the scene where Doris meets him in the gym I thought was pretty good. It's not the usual kind of setting we get for the Doris Day Show, so it was a little bit different, and I quite liked it. And he takes her to this health food cafe, yet another episode of season 2 where we're in a restaurant or cafe. And the use of the Popeye the Sailor Man theme was brilliant. It kind of took me a second to realize that's what I was listening to as Doris is trying to eat this seaweed, and it was just gorgeous. Once my brain kind of connected the dots, I just thought that was such a small thing to include, and small but big at the same time, and I just thought it worked so well and just made it just a little bit more amusing. And as she spends time with this individual, with Bruce, played by Michael Forrest, things start to go well for them. And it's not the first time we've seen Doris potentially having this romantic interest. But it's quite interesting that in this episode where the children don't feature, there's more focus on her romantic feelings. And it's a different balance and something we're not used to. And again, I feel like it's potentially a sign of things to come. I do know certain things involving Toby and Billy in future seasons, but I won't go into that just in case you don't know. But it definitely is a shift in the emotions of the show, in the themes of the show, but I enjoyed it. We have a couple of other firsts. I think this is the first time we went into Myrna's house, and Mr. Nicholson phoning Myrna was really sweet because, yes, he was obviously worried about the deal and what was going to happen with Bruce, but clearly he cares for Doris, and whether he'd admit it or not, he was looking out for her first and foremost, and I thought that was so sweet and really nice and very quick as well. This has happened within a couple of episodes, and I'm keen to see what happens with that character, with his relationship with Doris. I don't necessarily mean a potential romantic relationship, but how their bond grows, because I think they work really well together. There was also a suggestion in this episode where Mr. Nicholson might be helping Doris climb up the corporate ladder. Not sure how I'll kind of react to that if we see Doris taking on more work and having fewer scenes at home. But, being a feminist, it's something I should love. But either way, Doris Day gave a wonderful performance. I loved the scenes when they were jogging and bike riding. One of the things as well that's very different about season 2 so far is that whereas in season 1 a lot of it was filmed outside, whether that's on location or in their in their yard or whatever, a lot of this is set indoors, in the office, in restaurants, and having just scenes where they were jogging and cycling outdoors, it just felt a little bit more like the season 1 that I'm very nostalgic for. There was also a quote in this that I rather enjoyed. Now, I will say I'm 100% anti-smoking. I've never smoked. I hate everything about it. But the quote that Bruce says is, "That's a shame. It might help if you had smoking to give up." He says that to Mr. Nicholson because Mr. Nicholson's not exactly fit and healthy. But the quote there implied that if you have something negative in your life, be thankful that you have the ability to improve your situation. Because Mr. Nicholson is just unhealthy and unfit. Whereas if he had smoking, that's something he could get rid of and improve his health in a really quick way. Well, not quick, but in a really significant way. So I kind of like the fact that it was suggesting that if you have something negative that you want to give up or get rid of, see it as a positive. You have a very clear way of making a significant improvement in your life. Whereas if you don't really know how to make improvements, how can you improve? So I just liked it. I thought it was, something that was quite moving and very well done. Definitely a really enjoyable episode. Doris was as fantastic as always. And yeah, I feel like it might very well be a sign of changes to come, which will be upsetting, but I'm still really thoroughly enjoying it.